now. Steve, how are you?
Great. How are you, Dan?
Good. When's the last time you played a pickup game?
Since I retired 2.5 years ago, I played one pickup game with Chris Mullen at St. John's.
Wait.
And only Mully could get me to play basketball. I haven't played otherwise since I retired.
Is it not fun?
Yeah, I don't know. I love the game, but I think just after, pushing myself for so many years and shooting every day and pushing and playing and for so long, it just doesn't, going to play at the park or the gym just doesn't seem as exciting for me. So, yeah, I haven't really had the urge to play.
But didn't you used to, when you were in New York City, you would just show up at a random park and play pickup basketball, and the guys there didn't realize who you were?
No, not really.
Oh, you never did that?
Not really. I might have once or something, but it would have been totally not the norm. In the summer I would train, obviously, all summer, but I wouldn't go and play pickup basketball, really.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe my sources are not good sources then, because I was told you'd go to a playground and then they'd play and they didn't realize that it was Steve Nash out there. So never mind that question. We'll strike that from the record. We were wondering about Mike D'Antoni's system and how it's helped James Harden. Can you tell us, as basketball novices, what does D'Antoni do for his point guard that other coaches don't?
Well, I think he trusts them. He gives them a lot of freedom to get downhill and get in the paint and make plays for their team. I think Mike's a brilliant basketball mind, and obviously he's had an impact on the whole league. I also think that Houston, he's done a great job. He's surrounded Harden with some phenomenal shooters. I think Ryan Anderson and Ariza and Gordon and some of these guys that are having career years shooting the ball. Part of that is James and Mike's system, and part of that is that these guys can really shoot, and together they stretch the floor and put the defense in such a difficult position that they're always having to pick their poison, and one of them is the beneficiary, it seems, on every other possession. So, I think it's a great fit for everybody, and I'm proud of Mike and happy for him. He's a great person, and I think he's had an impact in the league that, at times is talked about, and sometimes I think because of what happened in New York and LA, he kind of gets undercredited for what he's done for the game.
But don't you have to have that point guard? If you're going to run his system, it has to start there, and then it sort of filters out after that?
Certainly helps, I think. Obviously you have a guy who's capable of scoring and facilitating, keep the defense honest, and can make decisions and really pick apart the defense for deciding what they're trying to take away or for making mistakes. Obviously that's a huge part of the success of that system. But I think, Mike's brilliance was that he was able to recognize that kind of organized chaos or that freelance within a loose structure can be, more effective than overcoaching and over kind of thinking it and putting players in a position where they're constantly having to do one of two things that maybe you've predetermined. I think giving them the freedom to react and use their skill levels, is paramount to that system's success.
He's Steve Nash, two-time MVP, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Where are those trophies?
I don't know. I'm actually moving this week, and I'm guessing my dad has them. Because last time I knew where they were, they were in my garage, but they're not there now. So
wait, in a box?
They were in a box, in a storage, in a plastic, nice box.
Oh, okay.
Container store type of box.
What's your official title now?
Dad. Mostly, most of the time, just dad. But I'm assuming you mean with the Warriors.
Yeah.
I think it's player development consultant, which is a pretty loose.
Wait, you don't know?
Yeah.
Do you have business cards?
The title's a title. Basically, my role is to be a resource for the organization, and particularly for the coaches and players, and to be able to be there whenever they need me to look at something that they think I can have an impact on, and just, you know, when that time comes. And I think a lot of times it just comes out of conversations with Steve or with the players, and, you know, I can find that I can share maybe some of my experiences and can have an impact. But, you know, it's pretty informal, and I think for good reason, and a part-time job.
If you were playing now, coming out now, how different would your game be with how the game is played now?
You know, I don't know. I think maybe I would have been more aggressive to score. You know, I think when I came into the league, there was still such a, you know, importance placed on being a pure point guard or being a playmaker, a pass-first point guard. And obviously that's been turned on its head. You know, I think the point guard has been exploited in a way where coaches and people realize, you know, it's just such an advantage to have a player that can put so much pressure on the defense and not necessarily think pass first. So I still think there's a place for a pass first point guard, but I think that, you know, the way the evolution of the game's gone and the way some of these guys are scoring the ball, I might have been more aggressive to score, but it's just in my nature to think pass first. So I don't think that would have gone from my game, but maybe I would have come a little bit more towards the senses.
But how do we distinguish between Harden and Westbrook for MVP? If those are the two top candidates, what would be the most important factor for you?
Well, I think people have been saying recently, and I guess it's true, is that it you know, a lot of it historically has come down to team success as well. You know, in the you know, within the context of how their team has performed. And so I think in that definition, you know, Harden has an advantage because he's elevated his team and his teammates this year. You know, and then you look at Russell and you think, wow, I mean, this guy's having a historical, statistical season like we've never seen, and has elevated his own play. And then, you know, you can look around the league and think of LeBron. I think sometimes gets underrated because of his impact in the game, how many minutes he's logged for that team. And Kawhi Leonard, I think, is underrated. I mean, he's just been phenomenal. So, you know, I said this the other day. I think that the MVP voting or the debate, it almost says more about the voter and all of us spectators than it does about the actual players, because it is such an objective thing. So there is no rule book. There is no real criteria. There's just kind of a tradition, and it almost, you know, it says more about our preferences and biases than it does about the actual players, because they're all having MVP-type seasons and deserve to be in the conversation and all to be deserving winners.
Does Shaq ever give you grief about those MVPs? Doesn't he say those are his MVPs that you have?
He said, yeah. The only time he's ever said that to me was when I came on a segment in TNT, and you know, he said they'd already brought it up, and so he said, Steve knows that. I told him that, but that was the first time he'd ever kind of mentioned it to my face.
And what'd you say?
I mean, well, like all things with Shaq, he kind of, you know, he's a comedian, I think, as much as anything. So you just kind of laugh, and he was a lot of fun to play with. Had us all, you know, in stitches half the year. So he's, you know, Shaq's larger than life. He's you know, he's great to have his personality in the game still, even though we don't have him out on the floor.
You know, Steve, those are my MVPs. I'd like to have them back.
Tell us
That's not bad. I'm working on that.
Oh yeah, even when Shaq comes on, I'll do the imitation of Shaq to Shaq.
Dan Patrick, shut the hell up.
Tell us what you're doing with Allstate. Sounds like a great little clinic you got.
Yeah, it's awesome. The NABC Good Works team. They've got 10 college basketball players who have just been unbelievable this year and in the past years of doing things for their community and volunteering their time. Some of these guys, you see some of the things they've done, but created platforms to help people in different causes and really made an impact. So we're all going to get together in Arizona. It'll be great to be back there for me, and we're going to do a special Olympics clinic and just, you know, spend some time with these kids and kind of hopefully set an example for other kids to be a part of their communities and help make a difference.
Well, great to touch base with you. Good luck being a father and whatever else. Do you want to be a coach or GM? Do you have any interest in doing that?
No, not really. No, I really enjoy being dad and value being able to get up with these kids and pick them up from school and be their chauffeur and Uber driver and all that stuff. So at this point, I'm thrilled to do that and just have a small role with the Warriors that keeps me in touch with the game.
Would you rather your kids played soccer or basketball?
Good question. I mean, I just want them to be active, and I'd love for them to play either. Frankly, right now I'm not so sure that's going to happen. So we'll see.
They're not playing either one of them?
Yeah, my 6-year-old, he is playing them both, but he's lukewarm right now. So I'm trying not to be that dad that forces him and locks him in the gym for a few hours.
You're not LeVar Ball.
Not quite. I would say that's a certainty.
Thank you, Steve. Good to talk to you, and have fun in Phoenix.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.